Simon, this is Simon also. And, so you get two Simons for the price of one. We're from a digital startup community called Spire Digital in Chesterfield, which is about 8 miles that way. And it's a little bit different, I guess, than a lot of the city things that happen, because we're quite a sort of quite a grassroots community in a slightly smaller neighbourhood neighbourhood incubator, and we're doing sort of we're doing stuff on our own largely as a grassroots community. So as you can see, you're here, we are here. We're kind of covering this kind of area. Looking to go out into the Peak District over time, although there are some quite serious geography challenges on that. And Chesterfield, at first glance, looks like a very nice green little town. Nice castle in the background, looking all very fluffy and full of trees.
That Spire looks a bit wonky.
Yeah, Spire's definitely very wonky. One of the reasons to visit. It's got some lovely little places, nice little market square, that kind of thing, which bring the only some use cases in their own right. But it's also got some serious challenges. So this is the former Staveley Works site. That's currently 200 hectares of brownfield land that's being developed. Large HS2 maintenance depot going on there shortly, plus about 2,000 houses. One of our gateways is going in that building. So we're going to be looking at how we can work with developers to look at this. We've also got a canal running through here, and we're working with the Canal Trust on flood sensors on the canal network, for example. So it's not all fluffy market town and footfall in front of market stalls and things like that. There are some very serious challenges in here. So we started off. Thanks very much, Pat.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, you did. That's your picture. And from template design prepared by Zurich and yourselves, we thought, right, we're not going to sort of reinvent the wheel. We're just going to plagiarize, copy, and install some gateways. Because where we really want to look at is what are the application scenarios of Things Network in a market town. That's our key sort of investigation thing. But first we have to have a network to play with. So first we're instrumenting our town with a set of gateways, then we can go on and do stuff. So this is the standard thing. We've got one half built on the table there for people to look at and play. It's, as Pat described, a standard sort of concentrator over a Raspberry Type Pi 2 with some nice waterproofing and power circuitry. So we're putting in 4 gateways initially. This one's installed. That's that one. And there's 2 more to go in over the next couple of months. So we think we'll get coverage most of the town from that. It's 100,000 people. And we should be able to get some interesting sort of innovation coming out the back of that. In portable stuff as well as fixed site. So our initial usage scenarios, we're looking at footfall sensors for the town centre. We're fed up with the council coming around with little clipboards and counting numbers of people walking through the town centre. In terms of economic development, we want to give them something a little bit better than that. So we're going to be looking at how the town is used by visitors, by shoppers. We're looking at the cycle network. So we're quite lucky to have a comprehensive cycle network in our town. We've got a full tube-style schematic of the network. It's laid out to show how we can get around the town and how we can also connect that with neighbouring areas. But we don't know how it's used. There's about 3 sensors on it. They break down regularly, and the data isn't open. So we're going to be instrumenting. Air pollution is a really interesting topic in our town. There's one air pollution sensor. It's at the opposite end of the town from all the air pollution. We have an air quality management area allocated in Chesterfield. Unlike Sheffield, which have declared the whole of Sheffield as an air quality management area, in Chesterfield there are 8 houses. And it's not actually anywhere near any air pollution. So we are looking at doing some air pollution monitoring, just to show the council actually what is going on, because you know, it may be quite interesting. I already said we're looking at flood sensors, so we're working with the Canal Trust who are restoring the Chesterfield Canal, and they've had some serious flooding problems in the past with their canal feeders overtopping the canal and then causing things like breaches in the sides of the canals. And there's nothing quite so scary as seeing a sort of an entire canal 3 miles long disappearing down a hole. So I think that you know, we're going to be looking at that with them. Get some canned flood sensors out of the flood network team and pop them on the network, see what happens. In terms of innovation, our incubator is looking at options at the moment for social care and telemedicine. So we've got quite a lot of old people in our town, a lot of them under social care contracts. We want to see how we can not just apply technology bluntly to that, but how we can change the scope of the service, how we can, you know, use Internet of Things to change the way that social care is monitored, informed, designed. And we're also looking at some basic security stuff as well, starting with our own community incubator. So thought we'd focus on some different types of nodes, because, you know, having got a template gateway, we thought we'd play about with a lot of tech to see what we could actually plug into that. So here's some cool stuff that the Things North were you guys brought up, yeah, to play with us in Hebden Bridge. So it's a one-piece board. It's got a nice little aerial on the end of it. It's got a nice LiPo battery in it, so it actually stays live for a little while after you unplug it. And it works absolutely beautifully, but it's actually quite expensive, relatively. You know, you're looking at, what, 70 quid? Yeah. So, you know, if you're putting one of those into, you know, every house on a social care situation, or if you're trying to sort of, you know, do a lot of, you know, low-cost monitoring, then that's going to be out of your price range potentially. So we started looking at different options. This is at the other end of the spectrum. We've got one of these over here. So this is a $10 Arduino board with a hand-soldered little $10 LoRa card on the top. So at $20, that's the other end of the spectrum, but obviously needs a little bit of productizing before we can use it in a real scenario. So, and we've tried a few others. So this is a Chinese board with an integrated chipset, different types of chipset. So that's causing us some interesting challenges. But it has got these lovely little growth sensors in here that enable us to plug and play sample sensors. And then the last thing that we've been trying out recently are these little things. So fairly tiny boards, about 40 quid. That big, plug an aerial on the side, stick it in a tiny little box, job's a good one. So that's a middle ground. That's proving, you know, something that we're really interested in trying out. So, thought we'd show you some sample photos of our little sort of tech community actually building stuff. Yeah, that's going fairly well. We went some learning points that I think it's worthwhile sharing. Firstly, we started off on single channel gateways. Oh, yeah. Learning point is, you know, don't bother, basically. You know, that it's possible to put up a single channel gateway, getting something to connect to it, and then being able to test out stuff that's useful just didn't work for us. You know, we just said, okay, that's really good as a node. And you know, we said we need proper gateways here at this point. Second thing is that we've been buying lots and lots of these little node boards and trying them out. And different Arduino architectures are tripping us up left, right, and center. So there's two main types of Arduino, and they have different software libraries. So we're coming unstuck in, you know, in doing basic tech innovation by the fragmentation of the Arduino market. Thirdly, we're already using 3 types of different LoRa chipsets. They all come with different driver libraries. You know, we're going to have to sort of, choose as we productise this thing, because there's a vast array of different code sets out there to actually sort of build software upon. Lastly, don't get tripped up by voltage levels. So if you're developing nodes, know whether your kit works at 5 volts or 3.3 volts, because we thought we'd blown something up before, didn't we? So that's some basic learning points so far that we've got. And our next step are to get all our 4 gateways on the top of roofs. We'll have coverage of most of our town, to get our remote management in place so that we don't have to actually go and climb up and look after them, as you've mentioned, Pat. We're working with an HP reseller to integrate with ServiceNow. So one of the concepts in here is that, if you push a button somewhere in the town, expecting something to happen, something should actually happen. It should be, logged on an incident tool set within a local authority, and then be tracked and managed appropriately. So we want it, integrated with full service tool sets. And we're hoping to run node hackathons of our own, but also to turn it to you guys. And looking at startups and partnerships. I mean, we're an incubator naturally. We're a social enterprise incubator, so we're looking at tech for good stuff. And we're going to have another attempt over the next 6 months to engage with our local authorities. They're not quite yet in the frame yet as being interested in this stuff, but perhaps we can have a chat with some of you who have managed to engage your local authorities and say, okay, what really got them going. So that's about it for us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there are other pizzas here.
Yes, Chair.